Hello all, welcome to our Getting Started with Tableau tutorial. In this tutorial we will create some very quick charts to analyze the Texas execution data that I had spoken about in the previous video. So let's get started. The first thing that you need to do on this screen, which is the starting screen of Tableau, is connect to your database. So here you just click on Excel because that is the format of the data that we have, and just browse to the file and select the file that you are interested in analyzing. Once you do that, your data loads up and you can just click on the sheet that you're interested in analyzing. After that, you just go to this tab here, which is labeled as Go to Worksheet. Now, as you see, all the columns in our data set are represented on the screen. Some of them are labeled as dimensions and some of them are labeled as measures. So what they mean, I will talk about it in a bit. Let's just think through the first question that we wanted to answer by looking at the execution data set. The first question was that we wanted to look at the number of executions over the years and see if there were any discernible trends over there. So let's do that. We want to get in the number of executions. Here you see there is a variable called number of records. This basically represents the number of executions that is shown in our data set. So what we will do is we will just drag it and drop it into the rows. As you see, this is just one big bar because right now it's just representing the sum of total number of executions. If you wanted to show it like a dot, you could just see as a line chart. And here, if you wanted to, now the next thing that we want to do is we want to add in the date because we want to see the yearly patterns in the total number of executions. So you go to the date variable here, which right now is showing as one of the dimensions, and if you click on the drop down here, you will see that right now this variable is being shown as a string variable, whereas this is actually a date variable. So we will click on date in order to convert it into the right type of variable. After that, we will just drag it and drop it into the columns, and you will see very quickly so easily you can see that x-axis is the number of years and y-axis is the number of executions. Now if you wanted to actually see the real number of execution representing each of the years, what you could do is you could actually pull in the number of records from here into the labels, and the labels show up pretty much very easily. One thing to note here is that whenever you create a visualization, you should really take a moment and try and understand what is it really telling you, what is the insight which is showing from that visualization. So here, as you can see, the number of executions shoots up around the from 1997 to 2000 2001, and then it kind of goes down and then it again peaks around 2008. So that could have been possibly linked to the economic downturn. One of the possible reasons could be that. So basically, but this is the chart that we were interested in. The next thing that we wanted to see is that what is the contribution of races, if race is playing any significant role in these executions. So a simple way to do it is you just have to drag and drop the race dimension into the color bucket here, and as you see now these four line charts come up, and this chart here right now is not looking very good. It's a bit confusing, so we have to do a couple of things. One thing we could do is convert this into a bar chart, which makes it look a bit better. Secondly, maybe right now having these labels here is a bit confusing. It's not that insightful, so we just drop it back. Maybe it would make more sense to actually look at the percentage of the executions for each row that were coming from a specific race. In order to do that, it's very simple. You could just go on this analysis tab here and just go to percentage of and say column. And as you see, this becomes a stacked column chart where the y-axis sums up to 100%. And here if you actually go to each of these sections, each of these sections of the bar, you can very clearly see that what is the contribution of each row to that specific year. So one thing to note here could be that in the prior years you saw that whenever the executions were peaking, the proportion of the executions which were happening for the white race were pretty high, but over the years the distribution has been evening, becoming a little bit more even, and as you see right now, and the number of executions happening from the community, from the black race community, were slightly increasing. So this is one way to answer our second question, that over the years how the races have been doing. One thing is quite clear: the Hispanic community is not contributing that significantly to the executions. The next thing that we want to do, if you remember, the third question was that we wanted to analyze the distribution of age. So this is something which is also very simple to do using Tableau. What we would do is we would, before we move on, we would just label this chart as uh, execution trends by race, just so that it's clear to you, and then we would just go and create another sheet here. So as you see, there is this variable on age. What we would do is we would just drag it and drop it into the rows here, so which here right now shows us one bar and actually summing it all up, so which is not very useful because we really don't want to aggregate this age, and it doesn't quite make sense to do that. So if you wanted to get rid of the aggregation, what you need to do is again go to the analysis tab here and just switch off this check mark next to the aggregate measures. Once you do that, you see that each circle here now represents an individual execution and shows the age of the people who were being executed. It's not aggregated anymore. So this definitely makes much more sense. Now what you could do is you could do some formatting to this. You could reduce the size of these circles, and basically make it look a little bit better. But then what we want to really be doing here is we wanted to look at the distribution, and box plots are a very useful way to look at the distribution, see the concentration of observations in certain ranges of the variable. So what we would do is we would try to create a box plot using Tableau. To do that, you go to the section here which is known as analytics, and you see here in the summarize categories, one of the charts here says box plot. So what we would do is we would just click on it and we would drag it and drop it here in our chart area. So as you can see right now, it's actually drawn a box plot over it. Okay, and maybe we can reduce the size of the bars a little bit more, and this definitely becomes much more insightful because it tells you that the median age of the people being executed was around 38. So what median age basically means is that 50% of the people who were being executed were under the ages of 30, and 50% of the people were concentrated in this area, which is this box here, which is between the age of 33 and age of 44. So that represents 50% of the people who are executed. Now we could do a couple of things here. In order to get more insights from this, maybe we wanted to create box plots by race. So what you need to do is go back to the data here again, now drag and drop this race variable into color, and that you see is definitely not adding that much value. So another way to basically fix this is you just get the race variable and get it to the columns tab here. Now you see there is actually a box plot by each of these races, and now if you add race to the color as well, it actually colors the box plots differently. But basically, before we move on, you really need to take a moment and understand what this chart is really telling you. So what this is telling you is you can actually look at the mean age of the people being executed from the black community, and that is 37 here. And the median age, the median age is 37 for the black community. The median age for Hispanics is 36. For others category, it's 41, and the median age of the white community is 40. So right here you can say that the people who are committing the crime are younger, much younger from the Hispanic community. They are about the same age from the black community, and a little bit older from the white community. So these type of insights can be very useful to the Department of Justice in putting certain plans or actions in place in order to prevent crime. So this video here was basically a very simple demonstration on how you can use Tableau to quickly answer some questions related to your data set. And we will talk about this more. Okay, thank you.